up my tongue. This is going to be a cool match because we've got Shifter and Jinte. Jinte formerly played for Coast back in the spring split. For match number 2, it's to be decided versus the Curse Academy. Match number 3, I'd say the dramatic match, GGLA versus Curse, where we're going to see Quas, who was formerly on GGA or GGLA, and we can actually say, for dramatic purposes, he got stolen by Curse. We're going to see him going up against his old team. And last but not least, Complexity versus Cognitive.
All right, guys, we also want to make sure that we shout out our sponsor, Loot Crate. Be sure to check out Loot Crate via the link below the stream or on NACLesports.com. Loot Crate is a monthly subscription service offering the newest and greatest in geek and gaming-related gadgets, snacks, and doodads delivered directly to your doorstep every month. Be sure to check them out. Use our link for sure, because it's a referral-based system. And so every purchase that you get there will go directly towards supporting the North American Challenger League. So, with all that being said, we've got all that stuff out of the way. Let's hop into game number 1 of the night. It's going to be Velocity Esports taking on To Be Determined. Bans are already out. We've got our first pick locked in. The bans from Velocity were Cassidon, Vi, and Aatrox, while To Be Determined had banned away Jax, Riven, and Zed.
There's a bit of a slip-up right now going with the overlay. I do not believe Coast has joined Velocity, so hopefully we can get the title fixed there. But yeah, so
sorry about that, guys. Coast and Infinite Odds. Let's just read what's on the screen. Casters, we'll just read whatever's on the screen. That's I can guarantee you that much.
I mean, if that's a really good pickup for Velocity. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but be a good pickup. But they're going for the Zyra first pick. It's definitely a champion that Daydream is incredibly comfortable on. It doesn't reveal anything because she is such a mobile champion and flexible too. You can put her for an AoE comp, for a defensive comp, use the ultimate to knock up divers. There's a lot you can do with her.
All right, so we see the Vi is getting locked in. It's looking like the next 2 lock-ins, this time coming out from the side. I'm going to check it before I say it. Infinite Odds. I do have that one. Infinite Odds are going to go ahead and grab themselves up a Thresh and an Elise. So taking a look around, kind of interesting. I don't see Jarvan picked or banned, so I'm kind of expecting to see Nintendo Dex grab that up pretty quickly here. We'll have to see where they decide to actually take that one, as he's been basically only Jarvan, although I think he did play one game of... Was it Elise yesterday he played a game of? Elise sounds right. I think he played one game of Elise.
And if there was an Olaf lock-in, Olaf used to be the Nintendo Dex champion back in Season 2. Like, that was the champion that was either permabanned or he most likely won the game on his own with the crazy jungle Olaf ganks that we have just not seen in a long, long time. Karthus being looked at... Oh, wait, no. There's Jarvan. So the Nintendo Dex only Jarvan continues, and a safe Caitlyn lock-in for Don't Mastery in the bot lane. It's a good pick because he can be aggressive. He can also be passive. It's a team that right now they have 3 picks, and they can do anything with that. That's how flexible the Coast team is right now.
And that's such an annoying bottom lane as well. They have so much range and so much great poke. Zyra, Caitlyn are very, very easily capable of pushing in under the tower in a 2v2 situation, laying siege to it, getting a lot of damage down on you while you try to last hit under the tower while taking your tower's HP away. And in the 2v1 situation, it's just as terrifying. That root can catch that solo laner off guard. It can be used to disengage when the jungler comes for the gank. And all that tower damage, it definitely adds up very, very quickly in that situation. So they've got that locked in for themselves. They also have the Jarvan, so if they do decide to go for a 2v1 situation, Jarvan plus aggressive solo laner is a very, very threatening kill lane for that 2v1.
I mean, with the EQ combo and the fact that there's also Armor Shred, it just opens up a bunch of really strong physical DPS champions. Renekton actually would have been a good choice for Coast, but at the same time, they could go for a Riven, which Zion Spartan is definitely a fan of, or anything that survives versus that Renekton matchup, but preferably does physical damage, so the Armor Shred from Jarvan works well with that.
All right, so we see Renekton and Vayne getting locked in there. So far they've got a lot of frontline in the form of Elise and Renekton who are going to be able to go up and just buy space for Lotus Mindy's Vayne to just tumble around, be as threatening as possible, and get as much damage off as possible. Body Drop is going to be playing the Thresh, and that is not too surprising. Thresh is one of Body Drop's favorite champions. He's extremely proficient with that Thresh. Will offer a lot of reposition whenever the dive comes back out. Obviously has the Flay, has the Death Sentence as well. Lots of good things going for them there. As Shifter is going to be playing his Ahri once again. Teams are still not banning this out, and I don't know what to make of it.
Well, I don't know what to make about this Lee Sin versus Renekton pick. I know how it's going to work out, which is Zion Spartan's going to stay up top lane. He might lose early on, he might get ganked early on, he might die, but that's okay, because he's going to build a Ravenous Hydra, then probably a Bloodthirster, and at some point pick up Boots too, and just be able to duel Renekton and deal so much DPS and have so much lifesteal that Renekton will eventually lose his lane and split pushing Lee Sin will just take control of the lane and almost take control of the game on his own. Multiple times, Zion Spartan loves Lee Sin top lane, especially against Renekton. That is his counter pick. So I'm worried about Infinite Odds now because that is not an easy counter pick to deal with either.
You'll give a shout out to Zion Spartan and all the dudes over at Leaguepedia as well for Zion Spartan coming in second in the Best Lee Sin North America tournament last weekend, falling short only to the jungler for now XDG, Xmithy.
Now, I haven't talked a whole lot about Infinite Odds team, but they have a very pick-oriented team early on with the Thresh Hook, the Death Sentence, with the Elise Stun, and they have lots of ways to pick off one target. Eventually, they want to build into a late-game comp where Renekton dives forward. They get a lot of AoE because of the Shockwave from Jinte, and just kind of play off that. It's a very, very pick-oriented team for the early game to build up to that AoE damage.
All right, so we see the final lock-ins have been made. We do see the lane matchups here. It's going to be for Team Coast. It's going to be Zion Spartan playing Lee Sin in the top lane, Nintendo X playing Jarvan in the jungle, Shifters handling his Ahri in the mid lane, Don't Mash Me and Daydreamin'. We're playing the Caitlyn and Zyra in the bottom.
I guess the question is, who you got your money on, Malthus? Who you betting for?
I mean, Coast have looked nigh unstoppable in the first couple of weeks here. So I would be pretty surprised if Infinite Odds could take them down. But if they're going to be able to do so, they're going to do it with this lineup. As iKennyU playing Renekton in the top lane. Sicko Scott's got the Elise jungle. In the mid lane, it's going to be Jinte playing the Orianna. And the bottom lane combination is going to be Lotus Mindy and Body Drop playing Vayne and Thresh. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break here. When we come back right after this, we're going to have game number 1 of the night. It's going to be Team Coast taking on Infinite Odds. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be game number 1 of the night. It's week 2, day 3 of the North American Challenger League. We're seeing Team Coast going up against Infinite Odds. I am Malphus X. I'm being joined here by Studio. It looks like we might have a level 1 engagement. Nintendo Deck stepping forward, going to take one shot, but that's going to be the end of it as both teams back away.
You have to give credit to Infinite Odds for knowing exactly where coast we're going to invade towards. This I'm going to attribute to Jinte because he was formerly on the team back in spring, so it's not surprising to see how easily he can get inside their heads. Both teams, they met up, Vayne got that auto attack off, so the DPS race is being won right now by Infinite Odds, but they're just going to ward up each other's jungles. They both know where the other group is, so why take any risk? Why go for anything too crazy? Take the safe route and toss them wards down.
All right, so you see they're stepping forward here. They're going to get the wards down, and Body Drop is going to use that deep lane ward, trying to scout out positions. Infinite Odds look like they want to be the ones controlling the matchups here in the laning phase.
They do. They need to make sure that Lee Sin is falling behind ASAP. They don't want him to get farmed. The more lifesteal he gets, the better he fares versus Renekton, and the worse it is for their mid to late game. Because they have a really powerful AoE team comp, but if they have to constantly deal with this, buzzing Lee Sin, just flying around, being annoying and stinging their towers, they're going to have to send Renekton there, and their team comp goes up just down in power because they won't have that tankiness from a Renekton in their fights. So it's either try and win now or try and deal with the Lee Sin later, and I'd rather try to shut down the Lee Sin early. It's not too hard in lane because it's a different situation than jungle. He's not as powerful in the 2v1, and it looks like that's what they're trying to set up. And I'm pretty sure Coast is trying to catch the 2v1 themselves, or catch a 2v2 themselves, but looks like it's not happening.
Yeah, we see they're going to drop Lee Sin down towards the bottom lane. We'll see where he ends up going here. Kenny Yu going to get spotted out by Nintendo Dex in the jungle. Kenny Yu just trying to do whatever he can to get some experience around here. And Nintendo Dex is saying, no, I know this is the red side jungle, but this is my Wraith camp. I'm going to take this one away here very quickly. Yeah, he's going to grab that up for himself very nicely. Head back around. Mid lane matchup is going to be Orianna versus Ahri. This is a matchup we've seen time and time again. But it is Shifter's Ahri, so we're going to have to keep our eye on this one.
Shifter taking a little bit of damage in the mid lane. This is a matchup that can go either way very quickly. Generally, if Orianna is winning, it's more of a farm fest. She's not really getting kills unless there's jungler support, but if she is farming and playing safely, it's definitely a huge boon to late game. Ahri, though, can very easily pick up a kill. Land a charm, if the jungler is nearby, it's almost guaranteed you'll at least blow a flash, possibly get that kill anyways. Top lane, Kenny Yu being forced back was actually a pretty big problem because that gave time for Don't Match Me and Daydreaming to push up to the turret, deny some CS, and Kenny Yu's actually behind in the experience match versus Zion Spartan.
So you see Jinte in the mid lane is just getting a lot of harass down on the Shifter. Shifter hasn't been able to answer too much of it, but he did start with that Flask 3 health potion start. So it's going to be a long time before Jinte is able to force him out of the lane, even with that very aggressive laning champion in Orianna. Such a strong lane bully, just able to continuously apply pressure both with auto attacks and QW combos. Zion Spartan down in the bottom lane doing what he can to keep the creep wave off of his tower as he tries to just continue farming it up. They've got to be very careful of the kill potential when Nintendo Dex rolls around with that Jarvan. Jarvan Lee Sin together can absolutely terrorize a champion that has a relatively weak early game like a Vayne.
I mean, there's about 3 seconds of CC, there's I think 4 seconds of slow total, come to think of it. So with the Lee Sin flow, with the Jarvan slow from the shield, and the knockup and the armor shred, and just the damage from all of those skills, it really easily kills a squishy support. Even though Thresh does have decent armor growth because of the souls, he still goes down in half a second. Same thing for Lotus Mindy. Top lane, they do have Sicko Scott and Kenny Yu trying to duel off Daydream and Don't Match Me, secure some experience. Actually, they've engaged in the bot lane.
Nintendo Dex getting forward, Body Drop's going to have to burn the flash immediately. Sonic Wave lands, but Zion Spartan has no interest in being pulled in under the tower, so he's going to let that one go for now.
The cool thing about that is, if you're a member of Coast, guess what? That squishy support that has no escape naturally and has just used its 6-minute or 5-minute cooldown escape, guess what? You can catch him now. So I won't be surprised to see Nintendo Dex head back to the bot lane, try and secure a kill, because a support without flash, especially someone that's not super fast or unorthodox like an Elise, is just such an easy kill if you can land 1 CC at that point.
And that also reduces the kill potential so much. A lot of Thresh play at this point has come down to flash flaying and then using that to land the odd, like just the gimme death sentence as well to set up the kill. Sicko Scott getting zoned away here, gonna get the cocoon down on the Daydream, and Kenny Yu is gonna show that they've got some kill potential as well. Daydream is gonna fall. First blood goes over to Kenny Yu. He comes back down, trying to catch up on Adult Mash. He will not be able to do so. Very, very nicely played there by the top lane and jungler from Infinite Odds. The charm's gonna land on a Jinte in the mid lane. Nintendo Dex waiting to see where Jinte flashes before using the flag and drag combo. Jinte is surely done for it. Shifter's gonna pick up that kill.
And you gotta give mad credit to Sicko Scott. Sicko Scott top lane, he got the kill on Desire, immediately flash, which was such a smart move. because it prevented Zyra's passive from getting an easy shot onto Sicko Scott. So that wasn't trying to make a play, that wasn't trying to dodge the passive and save the flash, that was just skill usage, good skill usage. Using the resource right away just to make sure there wasn't a major threat of him dying from that Zyra passive. And mid lane, you gotta credit to Nintendo X, and actually Shifter going forward, he used the ultimate.
Shifter trying to catch him down. He knows he has one more tick of Spirit Rush left. There's Nintendo X coming in, gets the Demacian standard down for the assist, and Shifter picks up his second kill of the game.
This is not good, Malphus. This is not good if you're Infinite Odds fan, because once Shifter gets started, he does not stop. 2-0. CS advantage in the mid lane. I want to see what he picks up with these kills. Gonna go for an early death, Rabadon's Death Star Grass was what I was gonna say, but that early DFG is gonna be huge for picking up the kills, especially if he gets it fast. It's an item that if you pick it up before anybody else builds tankiness, before anybody finishes, let's say, in Athene's on Jinte, any sort of defensive item, you just pick up kills left and right as soon as that stops cooldown.
And I like this setup as well. He's not going full on aggression. He had 1,700 gold at the base. And Lotus Mendy gonna get rooted up, gonna use the Condemn to get Don't Mash Me away. Still gonna take so much Zyra damage. And there's the Piltover Peacemaker, making Lotus Mendy regretting swapping him up to this lane. Immense amounts of damage going down, and this tower is about to fall. So far, the early game advantage, despite First Blood going over to Infinite Odds, Team Coaster in control.
Body drop, just taking a few shots himself. The thing is, once his turret goes down, Lotus Mendy has no defense except the least is in the area, going for a gank. Don't Mash Me does get hooked.
Gonna cleanse off immediately, gonna try to get back out. Sicko Scott gonna be able to use the repel to get in. Don't Mash Me, not gonna be the target of the cocoon. They go for Daydreaming. The Creepway is gonna get there in time to block the volatile spiraling. Sicko Scott gonna do more damage to Don't Mash Me. The only thing I can think of is he knew Don't Mash Me had the flash and didn't want to use the cocoon, but that seemed to be a confusing choice of targets.
Could have been a bit of greed too, actually. They could have been going for the double kill because they did take Don't Mash Me low, they did take Daydreaming low, but just not enough in the end to pick up either kill. So that split focus definitely hurting them now as Zion Spartan in the bot lane with the CS advantage. Even though he's going up against iKennyU that has that kill, he's still blowing him out. He has a lifesteal. Essentially at this point, he will take tower shots just to get one auto attack off onto iKennyU because he has enough sustain from his W. He's actually going for an E first build though, so he's going to push up hard and make it hard for iKennyU to see us underneath that turret.
Yeah, he did put that second point into the W there, so he's just prioritizing right now the lane push, being able to maintain control of the lane and get as much experience as possible so that he can get out ahead of iKennyU. You mentioned, I don't know if we talked as much about how in the early game the matchup is going to favor Renekton more because his base values are higher on his damage, but once Lee Sin starts building up, once he finishes up that Ravenous Hydra and he gets a bunch of points in Safeguard Iron Will, he's just going to be able to out-sustain even the Renekton. You see yet another Lander Gate coming out, there's the Flay coming out, Daydreaming is done for sure, Exhaust goes on to Don't Mash Me, this time they will get the flash. Lotus Mendy going to be one to pick up that kill into Daydream, and Sicko Scott going to land the cocoon this time, but here comes Nintendo from the back. Nintendo has no interest in going in. No, does have interest in going in. Sicko Scott can use the repel to get himself out of this one, but Don't Mash Me really had no opportunity to get back into that fight.
I mean, Nintendo Dex was a few seconds too late. Had he gotten there when Daydream was still being focused on, maybe they could have made something happen. But at that point, it was just going to be a situation where they say, hey, can we get some harass down? Can we possibly blow a summoner? And it just didn't happen. That was the second gank that came from the Thresh Lantern onto Elise. It looks like they just have to start respecting that over on Coast because, frankly, they already messed up once. They already got out and were lucky, but that time Thresh walked up to them. Body Drop was right next to Don't Mash Me and Daydream when the Lantern came out.
Very, very difficult to get away from a gank like that. Once he uses the Flay, you're basically done for because the death sentence is just a gimme. So difficult to deal with. You see iKennyU is having a lot of problems with sustain. Body Drop not going to land the hook out of the brush, and Cocoon won't land either. They do get the Condemn under the wall and a Nintendo Dex. But Daydreaming and Don't Mash Me are there. They cannot stand and just face tank that damage. Need to back away from this one. We see Nintendo Dex trying to get the initiation off. Repel comes down. Sicko Scott will narrowly avoid the Yordle Snap Trap as Don't Mash Me try to lock him up as he comes down from the repel. Nice recognition from Don't Mash Me, recognizing the only escape path that Sicko Scott had available to him, but just wasn't quite on point with the trap. Nonetheless, Team Coast going to take the first tower of the game. They extend their gold lead to 1.3 thousand as Nintendo Dex gets the initiation on the Body Drop. The root is there. He's going to be able to flash anyway. We see the ace in the hole gets blocked out by Sicko Scott. No HP on anybody. Double kill getting picked up immediately there by the top lane, or bottom lane in the top lane. Not sure what to call them. Either way, Don't Mash Me and Daydreaming cleaning just about everybody up. Lotus Mendy going to get a kill onto Nintendo Dex for his trouble, but that's about the only thing that's going over in the favor of Infinite Odds at this point.
They were trying to set something up. They were looking for that one way to press in, but Jarvan's damage at this point in the game is just a bit too high, even if he did go down in that exchange. What I'm worried about now is that Shifter hasn't done anything for a while, so he's got that blue buff. He's looking for the Jinte mid lane. essentially because there's been so much fighting top lane and that top turret is now gone, whoever goes top is going to be at risk of dying to a shifter gank, and it's so hard to ward against it because they have to ward essentially 3 spots right now and just cover their own jungle with that vision. So shifter all of a sudden has a bunch more openings to try and gank another lane. And frankly, he might not even have to go to a different lane because all the lanes are doing so well right now. It's a 2,000 gold lead in favor of Coast. Zion Spartan in the bot lane is just having the time of his life for that 2-level advantage on the IKNEU. And he's just sitting there. He's just being Lee Sin. He's being annoying. That's all he wants to do right now.
IKNEU even tried to stun him up so that he would miss the cannon minion and couldn't CS it, but the red buff finished it off for him. Like, so everything is going Zion Spartan's way right now. And I want to give a shout out as well to Gente. Sicko Scott going to get locked up there. We see Shifter's just going to go and he's going to take him down. There it is. The shockwave not going to go on to anything. Shifter still has 1 tick left of that Spirit Rush. We'll see if he tries to go for the charm. He gets in there. He gets the charm down. Nintendo Dex going to be able to, no, not going to be able to get the pop-up. Gente is able to flash back out, keep himself alive as Team Coast grab another kill in the mid lane.
Level 1 charm only going to have 1 second of CC, and that 1 second was just enough to get a flash out from Gente in the mid lane. They are pushing up top side for infinite odds. They should be able to get this turret as Zion is just sitting there. He's going for the fight though.
Zion gonna try to force a fight. The box is down. Not gonna end up doing anything. Exhaust use on Zion Spartan. Not gonna be enough to keep Lotus Mindy alive. Now Zion Spartan wants a double kill. He's gonna get it. Rolls into the 2v1, and because of the focus on the tower, he picks it up without a scratch.
I mean, Lee Sin dueling potential is amazing, especially now that he has finished that Tiamat. And you factor in the extra damage from the spell cast that is Tiamat, and the fact that he has a level advantage and the execute into so much burst from a DPS built Lee Sin. And once they stayed to try and kill that turret, that was going to be an exchange no matter what. Coast picks up Dragon off of that. They knew there was not many threats in the area. It would have been a 4v3 at best for the members of Infinite Odds. And this is not looking good. This is why Coast has been so dominant in the NACL so far. They haven't lost a game yet. They've just been able to take out dudes left and right, and it's because of their early lane pressure and just their constant aggression. It's so hard to deal with. Now I can use up top lane. He's going up against Zion Spartan, who has a 3-level advantage still. He's got that rank 2 ultimate. He's going back to base to buy right now, but if he wanted to, he could sit there and just waste Elise's time, waste Orianna's time if they did roam top lane, because they cannot kill him, they cannot catch him, and I just don't know what they're going to do against Lee Sin, let alone the rest of the Coast lineup.
I was just about to ask you, what can they do to get themselves back into this? They do have Vayne. They do have Vayne Orianna, which is an extremely... I mean, they scale so well into the late game. But realistically, as you just pointed out, I mean, the split push threat from Zion Spartan is not going anywhere, and they have no one that can really handle him. Is Lotus Mindy eventually going to hit a point where he can go for the 1v1 in the side lanes?
I mean, he could eventually, like you said, but against Elise in this farm, the fact that he's being ganked right now, it's going to be tough.
See Nintendo Dex trying to get into the area. They're going to focus down body drop right now. Nintendo Dex still has the ultimate available, doesn't want to use it. Afraid that Lotus Mindy would just flash and tumble away from it and get out of that one. Either way, they do claim the kill on the body drop, and Coast at this point, they're just cruising.
I like that kill. I like that they ignored Vayne. It's actually Zion Spartan being ganked in the top lane.
Sicko Scott trying to get into the area, going to use the kick to get Sicko Scott away, recognizing that the only thing that can get him killed right now is a cocoon. Not going to find it. Nintendo Dex comes into the mid lane. Gente going to use the ultimate, does catch out Nintendo Dex. Not going to get anywhere near enough damage done. Shifter picks up his 4th kill of the game and the first usage of his Deathfire Grasp.
So Scott going to defend in the mid lane, gets hit by a charm though. Not too much from Shifter at this point, trying to conserve his mana. Doesn't have the ultimate, doesn't have the BFG available, so why try to waste his mana when he can push and be annoying in the mid lane? It's top turret. I mean, there's an IKNEU right next to it, but it's not going to matter as it does go down.
We see down the bottom lane a beautiful double root followed up by the double knockup. Daydreamin going to be the one to take down that turret. Body drop going to fall down to Daydreamin. No, excuse me, that was the ace in the hole that picked up Thresh. Zion Spartan is at 2v1 at this point. Can he take down Sicko Scott? Sicko Scott goes up into the repel. Zion Spartan trying to get himself alive from this one. Going to get the shield from Safeguard. Going to be enough to pick up the kill into Sicko Scott, but not enough to clean up IKNEU. He picks up a kill, and that's the first thing that's gone Infinite Odds' way in the last 10 minutes.
Well, as the bottom turret falls for Infinite Odds, Coast still there. I was going to comment on that, but the action doesn't stop because Coast, they're so far ahead. They've picked up 3 kills in the bot lane in the past 2 or so minutes, and they're still pushing, still applying pressure. At the 15-minute mark, they're attacking an inhibitor. They're not going to get it. They're going to get it low, about 1500 HP, but frankly, they're just so far behind over on the side of Infinite Odds. As Shifter actually chased out IKNEU, but he doesn't care about Renekton. He just cares about pushing that lane, making sure the inhibitors are getting pressured, the inhibitor turrets are getting pressured, and more CS is being denied. But like, I love the focus on Coast. For example, that earlier gank on the bot lane, they ignored Lotus Mindy, because Lotus Mindy would have had Tumble, would have had Flash, could have gotten out of it, and focused on killing Body Drop. When they did that, it meant that Lotus Mindy couldn't farm safely because he needs body drop to protect him, and that just created advantage anyway. So I love their focus, but at this point, they've got Lee Sin going into a 2v2 with 1,300 gold in the bank and coming out 1-for-1. Like, that is their situation. They are so far behind on infinite odds. Coast is not running up the aggression. At this point, Coast has to make a major mistake, or, as we saw last night, to really throw a game, they have to make about 20 major mistakes over the course of 30 minutes.
And I would be pretty surprised to see that coming out at this point. We see Shifter is gone for the Sork shoes. He's got the Sorcerer shoes, and he picked up a Blasting Wand. I was kind of wondering if he was just going to go full out aggression and buy the needlessly large rod instead of upgrading his boots, but decided that that was maybe just a little bit too ham. Zion Spartan going to initiate onto iKennyU. Gets in there, gets a good combo down to iKennyU. Has finished up the Sunfire Cape, so he's a little bit more resilient to this, but he just doesn't have the sustain to keep up with Zion Spartan at this point. See iKennyU trying to continue the fight. Zion Spartan just running away from this one. iKennyU not going to be able to get the fight that he wants. Zion Spartan just going to kick him back. Gets to the creep wave, and look at that. He's just got so much HP back almost instantaneously. And Nintendo X, he's going to find himself in a 2v1 in the bottom lane, going to be able to get the flag and drag out. Still gets condemned into a wall, but behind his tower, so he's fine. And Zion Spartan going in. iKennyU, he's lost his ultimate. He's lost all that bonus magic damage per, and he only has the Sunfire Cape providing that now. And if he doesn't continue the fight, Zion Spartan's just going to find a creep wave to just heal up on. Jinte's going to get charmed in max rage. Shifter picks that one up almost instantaneously. Body drop, tried to protect him with the death sentence, but it wasn't enough. Don't Mash Me going to get hit by the cocoon. Lotus Mindy goes over the wall with the flash, going to try to get the condemn in the wall. Will not be able to make it happen. See, Don't Mash Me actually flashes over the wall, picks up the kill onto Sicko Scott, as Coast are just killing everyone all over the map. Nintendo X picks up the kill onto Lotus Mindy. Shifter's in the mid lane pushing this down. Coast making action happen everywhere.
This is just such a stomp. 17 minutes in, 2 inhibitor turrets and the inhibitor are all being split pushed. That was 3 separate engagements now. That wasn't just one big fight with Coast coming out ahead. That was every lane being lost at the same time. And Zion Spartan is in a lot of danger top lane. Trying to walk out of this. The box, though, is going to be a bit too much. That death sentence just sentence him to death.
Yeah, there's basically nothing you can do at that point. He tried to get as much damage onto the tower as he could. He did get it down to about half health while the rest of his team took that down. Flash forward comes out from Shifter, doesn't land the charm, gets the second tick of the Orb of Deception back through though. Flash comes out from Jinte to avoid getting knocked up. Don't Mash Me steps a little too far forward. He's going to be taken off the map. Sicko Scott takes that one down. Sicko Scott continuing the chase. Lotus Mindy going to get charmed. Daydreamin picks that kill up with the Deadly Bloom. Daydreamin now on the run. Sicko Scott, once this kill, goes forward with the Repel, has the red buff as well. Daydreamin can't get out of this one. Nintendo X going to try to help him out as best he can. iKennyU picks up that shutdown as that support has 4 kills right now. Shifter has the ultimate back up, gonna pick up the kill into Sicko Scott. Charm not gonna land onto iKennyU. We see continued Spirit Rushes coming out. Pop up follows iKennyU through the wall. Shifter gonna follow him as with the Spirit Rush as well. It's not gonna be enough. Body drop, it's got the Dark Passage, gonna be able to get him back out. They go 2 for 2, but infinite odds, they're still losing control of the map.
The interesting thing about that slice and dice from iKennyU was the fact that because Jarvan knocked him up in the middle of it, it actually counted as hitting a target, so he got the second part. He got the dice off, which let him escape. And yeah, this is brutal, man. This is just brutal. Even though they did pick up kills onto Lee Sin, onto Don't Mash Me, that's still an inhibitor being lost bot lane, and it was over-aggression and just taking too much advantage of the situation from Coast. They're making silly mistakes because they're at a point where they can make silly mistakes, where Lee Sin can die pushing an inhibitor turret on his own, because every other lane at that point was being pushed to the inhibitor anyways. So now there's an exposed inhibitor as, oh, body drop, you don't want to... Why would you interrupt it? Why would you send it back?
Because he's got Sicko Scott right there. The Destin's going to land. A kick just barely gets Sicko Scott out of range. Jinte trying to get into range with the command protect. We see Daydreamin waiting right over the wall. Ace in the hole. Going to take Sicko Scott down to half health. That's going to be the end of that engagement as they just can't find anything to get done.
Zion Spartan survives. They did at least burn the ultimate from Zion Spartan, but that has such a short cooldown, and it's going to be up by the next time he wants to fight. So, you know, they were annoying. They were able to tickle Elise in a bit, but at this point, they need Lotus Mindy just to farm up like crazy. They need Jinte to rush a death cap. He needs to just get a lot of AP really quickly if possible, and maybe even rush a Haunting Guise just to get something before they lose the game. Like, they're at a point where they need their major items, they need the biggest items, but they can't afford it, so they might need to rush something cheaper that will help them survive, but won't necessarily help them win the game.
You see Nintendo X right now has a red elixir, purchased a Hex Drinker as well. He's primarily concerned about just getting burst down by all the magic damage coming out from Orianna and the persistent magic damage coming out from iKennyU's Renekton ultimate. Speaking of which, it's getting popped in the top lane as Zion Spartan completely in control with that red buff. iKennyU gonna get the slice and dice through. Zion Spartan almost has the move speed to catch him back up. There's the Tempest and the Cripple. That's gonna get that done for sure. We see there's the Dark Passage. Zion Spartan can't chase through. He flashes forward to have the range. Body drop gonna flame back out. Zion Spartan gonna get the ignite, gets the ultimate down, picks up that kill. Body drop gonna go on the run from that while the rest of Team Coast push down the middle inhibitor. Looks like they're gonna be able to have this with no answer. Nintendo Dex tries to get the lockup on the Lotus Mendy shifter. You know he's thinking about going in, but is not going to do so. Team Coast looking like they want to take a more passive tact. Just take down the inhibitor and move up to the top lane.
I love how iKennyU dies. Actually, Sicko's gotten a lot of danger now.
DFG's out. Shifter just needs him to come back down. There he comes back down. One more tick of Spirit Rush is going to get that one done. Zion Spartan safeguard into the plant, hoping to get a little chaos action, but not going to find him.
I was gonna say, I love how iKennyU died. Body drop was forced to flash and exhaust. Zion Spartan was already at full HP by the time we panned back to the action. Lotus Mendy, a lot of danger though.
Lotus Mendy gonna get rooted out. There's this ultimate to make sure that he goes down. Daydreamin picking up yet another kill. 5, 3, and 6 now on that support. As the support Caitlyn is, Don't Mash Me is kind of getting a little impatient. He's taking all the CS though, the jerk. Noob support. Anyhow, Team Coast, they've now taken down all 3 inhibitors. They're set up outside the Nexus Tower. Zion Spartan riding that super creep into the base. This is going to be just about the end of it as Infinite Odds gets the hook down onto Daydreamin. They might try to pick this up. The Shockwave only going to land on the Zion Spartan. Daydreamin taken down low. He's ignited. He will fall down. Sicko Scott looking like he's about to follow. It's going to be Zion Spartan pick up kill onto iKennyU. Orianna's going to die on the fountain as the rest of Team Coast are willing to do what it takes to clean that up. Team Coast pick up, I believe that was an ace, and they're going to take down the Nexus at the 21.5-minute mark.
That had to be the most confusing. Oh, that's probably Lotus. That had to be one of the most confusing aces I've seen just ever, because I'm not sure what killed them, because every skill that hit was dealing so